so long as I am around hosting this show, it's possible BYU will never lose a game again. Amongst other takeaways from a great day of college football.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in this, the greatest sport on planet Earth. Boy, what a day in the Big 12. BYU remains unbeaten. Arizona State goes down. How about those Houston Cougars? We have to talk about them to start today's show. Texas A&M, for the sake of Tigers fans, just ended, or should have just ended, Brian Kelly's tenure in Baton Rouge, and a couple of teams that you might look up at the end of the year and go, wait, they're in the play? Oh yeah, they're in the playoff. One's a little bit more obvious than the other. That's all on today's show, which is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Like the players of your favorite team, they sweat every detail at Mazda because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. The BYU refuse to lose Cougars are just going to keep winning football games, no matter whether they are an underdog, no matter whether they are a favorite. Cougar fans, I understood the assignment going into this game. I'm not going anywhere with that. How could I? How could I, in good faith, as a resident of this fine, beautiful state of Utah, do anything else but continue and honor our arrangement? You should consider me Saito in Inception. I will honor our arrangement. And BYU just keeps holding up their end of the bargain. That is go out and win football games. And they just keep winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And as these games play on, the reason I am starting with BYU to begin today's show amidst a bevy of big storylines, many, but not all, of which I'm going to get to today. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, that's tomorrow. Those thoughts have to marinate a little bit longer. What a day for the Rebels. What a bad day, bad day for the Oklahoma Sooners. But you hear a lot of talk about the gauntlet in the SEC. You hear a lot about the grueling schedule, the week to win. It is so hard to win on the road. Well, as I have talked about for the last several months, I do not view the SEC as some horrible, no good, very bad, awful football conference. I do see it as not being so far ahead of everyone else where I'm just going to ignore results. When BYU goes on the road and wins as an underdog in convincing fashion against a good, not great, but solid, respectable, good Iowa State team that, according to the odds makers, they were supposed to lose, when they go and outplay them, my biggest takeaway was, they're starting to actually play better football now. Because before they were finding a way, right? I have dubbed them, I think correctly, the BYU find a way to win Cougars. They didn't find a way to win on the road in conference play here. They went on the road and were just way better than Iowa State. And remember, BYU is starting a true freshman at quarterback in Bear Bachmeier. Think about where another notable true freshman starting at quarterback this year, Bryce Underwood, is now compared to game one of this season. The same progression is happening for the youngster up in Provo. I don't know why that came out so weird. It just did. I've done a lot of talking today. Forgive me. All right, we move on. Mistakes happen. Bear Bachmeier is not making that many of them. He's just making good football plays. This is a BYU team that can beat you with defense. They can beat you with special teams. They are well coached. They're good situationally. They will convert third downs and fourth downs. They will stop you on third downs and fourth downs. They're just going out and winning a lot of games. They've got to bye this week. They've got to bye. And I don't think they're going to lose that. I don't. And I don't think that I'm going back on our arrangement, Cougar fans, by saying they won't lose during bye week. I want to have on everybody's radar right here, right now, and going forward until that wonderful day comes around on Saturday, November 8th in Lubbock. BYU and Texas Tech. Oh my goodness. This could be the first of two meetings between these two programs. It's shaping up that way in the Big 12 because we just got a big-time shakeup with Houston beating Arizona State. I'll get to that in just a moment. But here's the other significant thing for BYU. Last year when the playoff expanded, this year I have talked about the conference as being a one-bid league. Last year they were. I was right. This year, does it feel like I'm right? Or does it feel like BYU is just going to find a way? I sincerely hope that an 11 win, regardless of conference championship status or not, I never want to see the day where an 11 win Power 4 conference team isn't in the playoff. I never want to see it. I don't think we will. I really don't. If BYU goes into Lubbock and beats Texas Tech, that's one thing. But if Texas Tech wins that game and both teams win every other game on their schedule, which they could, BYU still has to play TCU, Cincinnati, UCF. Cincinnati's been playing really good football. If they win those games, 2 of those 3 are at home, then guess what? You could have 11-1 Texas Tech against 11-1 BYU in a rematch in the Big 12 championship game. And Big 12 fans could be comforted by the fact that, hey, the loser of this game should still be in the playoff. That is the narrative-changing season BYU's having right now. I will throw a word of caution out there that they were having this sort of season last year and they didn't finish down the stretch. Do I like what I'm seeing, though? Hard to not. Arizona State goes down, and this is the shakeup. Because here came the Sun Devils. Only one loss in Big 12 conference play. If you'd had a 12-team playoff back when TCU went to the national championship game, the Big 12 would have gotten 2 teams in. Kansas State, 9-3 regular season. They beat TCU. The Horned Frogs end the year 12-1. They go to the 14 playoff. Of course, they would have been in. Kansas State, one of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, they would have been in. Arizona State had the opportunity to go on that Kansas State trajectory. And instead, it is the worst of vibes in Tempe. Because finally, the slow starts caught up to them, and Houston clipped them on their home field. That's not a good feeling. The highest of vibes for Houston here. This is a legitimizing win. Because the conversation I was just having about the Big 12 and the playoff and getting other teams in, now you have to look at the Houston Cougars. You just do. Do you know what Houston's schedule is the rest of the year? I will tell you. As soon as I pull up the Houston Cougars schedule, not the Houston Texans schedule, because that wouldn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Houston is now 7-1 with a road-ranked win against a team that was preseason number 12 in the country, reigning Big 12 champs there in the playoff. Houston's remaining schedule is as follows. Host West Virginia next week, at UCF on a Friday. That could get crazy. Host TCU after a bye at home. Go at Baylor, that might not still have Dave Aranda as their head coach at that point in time. Or at least they wouldn't want to. There are many that don't. There are opportunities here. And that, like Jared Bennett said in The Big Short, and that, you're too close, is an opportunity. The opportunity in front of the Big 12, is it going to eat itself alive? Are they going to cannibalize themselves? We'll see. We'll see. But if you laid out this scenario before the year, where you've got an undefeated team at this point in the season and 2 one-loss teams with manageable schedules down the stretch, I'd say, well, it's not the least likely thing to happen. What a week. What a week in the Big 12. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter, all of that good stuff. There needs to be a change in Baton Rouge, and they've got the right guy in College Station. First, this episode brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. That's different than just a play. This week's moment to move the game forward is Marcel Reed's first touchdown he had more than that. But his first touchdown against LSU, an explosive run. And he was just so fun to watch in this game, even though he's still not a very efficient passer. He had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, he had 2 interceptions, but guess what? It didn't matter. They went into Death Valley and won 49-25. The second half was embarrassing. I will get to that. That did a lot more than just move the offense forward to win a football game. It moved the Texas A&M program forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Every program that's thinking about firing their coach reaches a breaking point, a moment, a game, a play, a sequence that makes you go, I've had enough. I've had enough. We can't do this anymore. I remember a famous one in the Big 12. Arizona State got rid of Herm Edwards. That was a good decision. Kenny Dillingham's good. Not a good performance today, but he's really good. The loss at home to Eastern Michigan. It was, okay, this is done now. We're moving on. It was almost a loss, should have been last week. Poor Mississippi State. Again, they blew it. Oh, they had a 3-possession lead in the second half against Texas and somehow let Arch Manning score a bunch of points. But anyway, Texas not that good. Mississippi State almost beat Florida last week. They should have. And the Gators administration said, yeah, Coach Napier, thank you for your time, but this is not working out. We're not going forward with this anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. Here's the door. Your access key card will not work anymore. This needs to be the moment for LSU. Brian Kelly at home. Do you realize Texas A&M in the second half of this game, LSU led at the break. This is the second time in the last couple of years that Mike Elko's done this to somebody. Might have even been LSU last year. Nah, it might have been somebody else. Anyway, I digress. LSU at home in a must-win spot for your playoff hopes, SEC championship hopes against Texas A&M. Perennial 8-4 Texas A&M. Where's that crowd at? Where's that crowd? Are they hiding? They're probably hiding right now. They're probably retreating to their respective corner of the internet because you know Texas A&M in your heart's not an 8-4 team. They're not losing their final 4 games. They're 8-0 right now. I will get to them. But LSU needs to have reached their breaking point with Brian Kelly. You lead this game at the half. The offense is actually trending up. And somehow a veteran quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier is regressing. He is regressing at LSU. In your 4th year at the helm, Brian Kelly. 18-14 at the break. Texas A&M in Death Valley goes 35-7 in the second half? What? How do you let that happen? You know what I think about when I watch LSU sometimes? And this used to apply to the defense when that was a problem. Then they got that right. It was terrible today. Offense didn't help them out. Now it applies to the LSU offense. Where's the pride? Where's the grit? Where's the determination? Where's the find a way? In a must-have-it, at-home, night game spot in Death Valley, in front of those fans in Baton Rouge. How in the world have you let it get this bad? Yeah, I need to stop picking teams that, well, they got to win in this spot. Yeah, I need to get that thought out of my head. Penn State, LSU, just silly reason to pick a game. LSU's offense stinks, and it's not for a lack of talent. High school, portal, LSU's got plenty. This is a coaching problem. That's all it is. When you have a veteran quarterback that I know can be good because he has been before and he starts getting worse, that's a coaching problem. Who in the world? Is there a single human being alive that knows anything about college football that would look at LSU and say, they don't have the pieces? They don't have the talent. They just need to get a couple more things right. No, that hasn't been the problem whatsoever. Like Billy Napier at Florida, you look around, watch the team and go, yeah, this is a talent, or this is not a talent problem. I saw the way they recruit, and you know what? Not every recruiting class translates on the field, but frankly, it's kind of ironic that LSU had this moment, I hope, for the Tigers' sake, against Texas A&M, because for the longest time, this was the Aggies. LSU and Texas A&M have now switched. It's the Aggies that play to their full potential and go out with a killer instinct and win anywhere at any point in time in any style of football game. And it's LSU that has a bunch of talent that is just withering away, wasting in Baton Rouge of all places. LSU is a top 3, 5, 10 job, put it wherever you want in the country. Brian Kelly, why is this so hard? Why is this difficult? In year 4, year 1, maybe even year 2, I can give you a little bit of a pass. Years 3 and 4, you're going to miss the 12-team playoff again? Nope, that's not okay. Brian Kelly has to go. Does LSU have the money to do it? Because it's going to be expensive. They better find it. Because I don't see how you feel optimistic about the Tigers that they can lose on both sides of the ball. Ole Miss's defense is not particularly good. They struggled with it. They struggled with it. And then they come at home, a lead at the half. Tigers fans think, oh, right, we've got a chance. Come out of the locker room, hair on fire, crowd behind you, and you lose 35-7 in 30 minutes of football to Texas A&M? That's embarrassing stuff. The worst vibes possible belong to the LSU fan base, or maybe the best vibes. If you wanted Brian Kelly to go, this is a strong feather in the cap of that argument. Brian Kelly has to go. Let's flip over and talk about Texas A&M. Where is my perennial 8-4 Texas A&M crowd? That's all it'll ever do. The potential's always been there. This has always been my take with Texas A&M. You are free to mock them when they underachieve. That is your right. It is completely and totally fair. At the same time, you should be able to recognize, I wish every place invested like that, or at least my school did, whatever it is. Because every single institution should strive to have the institutional commitment to winning that Texas A&M does. A place that all you need is the right coach in place, and they've got it in Mike Elko. Marcel Reed can still, he was 12 of 21 with 2 picks in this game, and Texas A&M just shellacked LSU. I know Whit Weeks wasn't available. He's a good player. That's not a justification to give up 49 points on your home field. That is getting severely outcoached and out-schemed and playing a team that's got more heart, pride, and fight than you. That's what that is. And Texas A&M is that sort of team. This is an Aggie squad that I don't know how they don't wind up in the SEC championship game. What can't they do? They play at Missouri next. Missouri's not bad. I don't think they're as good as Texas A&M. Then they play South Carolina, who I know is not as good as Texas A&M. They had their upset chance today. Couldn't get it done against Alabama. And then Samford. This is the last year we have to do that, so I won't complain about it too much. And then they play at Texas. That rivalry is going to be really fun. Texas is only going to look to play spoiler. I won't be shocked. I picked LSU to win this game. And at halftime, I felt pretty good about that pick. And then the second half came around, and Texas A&M just had other plans. And when a team can kick it into gear like that against a team that I don't think is great, I just viewed this as an upset spot. I had LSU unranked coming into this game, but I picked Texas A&M to go 9-3 before the year. Watching them in my head, I went, oh, that's at least a 10-win team. That's at least a 10-win team. But I don't know if they're going 12-0. That's a really hard thing to do. I don't care what conference you are in. I viewed this as an upset spot. I was surprised the line was only 2.5. I thought it might be closer to 4 or 5. And guess what? Wouldn't have mattered. Nothing would have mattered in this spot. So Texas A&M is a national championship contender. You can't look at them any other way. If Georgia played like Texas A&M with this schedule, if Alabama did it, if Tennessee did it, that's how you'd view them. You have to look at Texas A&M that way, or else you're just not looking at them honestly. Speaking of the college football playoff, Vanderbilt, what an awesome story. And they are not the only team that's just inserted themselves in the playoff discussion with a win this week. First, this episode brought to you by DoorDash. It is the weekend. Let's look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Can I get a shout out for Diego Pavia? Did enough. Wasn't pretty offensively, but the Vanderbilt Commodores might be in the college football playoff this year. Just saying. Speaking of playoff, I'm talking about both these teams later. Damon Williams at Washington. The Husky defense picked off Luke Altmaier a couple times. Those guys were delivering big time, and Washington was impressive. They will be in my top 25 this upcoming week when I drop it. Those guys delivered for their team like DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season. You could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. This episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Guys, you won't believe it. A second straight winning week for the best bets. We are inching back towards 500. Red hot. The train's on the tracks. Utah blows out Colorado to get the Mississippi State a heartbreaker. But for the second time this year, they cover 7.5 by half a point. That's just the way Mississippi State has been so far this year. And Washington State beat Toledo -2.5. That was the least stressful pick that I had this week. If you think you can do better, or if you want to ride the picks while they're hot, FanDuel is the place to do it. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Check them out at FanDuel.com. Vanderbilt takes down Missouri. Make whatever you would like. Have whatever opinion you will have on the metric that went up during the broadcast, but it was also pretty clear to me going into this matchup that something like this should be the case. ESPN's playoff predictor gave whoever won between Vanderbilt and Missouri a better than 50% chance to make the college football playoff. And the loser, less than 20%. Well, there you go, Vanderbilt. There's your moment. Vanderbilt has arisen. Can we say they have risen from the dead if it feels like they have somehow been sent to somewhere further away from that? They don't feel like a program that has been, a decaying body in a casket underground. It's been way more inaccessible than that. A grave robber can't go and just get to it for my entire life. And all of a sudden, it is a living, breathing entity that is just good at winning football games. Something I've heard get talked about a lot correctly. And it's not the first time, but I feel like there's been an emphasis this year from guys like Joel Klatt. The word answers, or being able to win in multiple ways, has been thrown out a pretty good amount. Tell me how that doesn't apply to Vanderbilt. Yeah, they went on the road and lost to Alabama in a kind of close back and forth game. Okay. Alabama's really good. Kalen DeBoer's figured things out. I still don't understand how they lost to Florida State, who stinks, who completely stinks and might fire Mike Norvell. But Vanderbilt was in a game with Missouri here at home, 3-3 at the half. When you think of Vanderbilt, you might look at Diego Pavia and understand the transformative nature of his aura. And I'm not telling you to ignore that. I'm just telling you, if you didn't watch this game, go back and find a way to watch it. At least watch some extended highlights on YouTube and understand that Vanderbilt is more than just one guy with an incredible story making great plays. Diego Pavia is the face of it. He's Batman, but Alfred is Clark Lee. This is a good football team. It is well-rounded. They play really well on both sides of the ball. They can run it better than you think. Not great, but well enough. There are plenty of SEC teams I think they run the ball better than. Oklahoma comes to mind, for instance. Vanderbilt is a better football team. And it's difficult to wrap your mind around. I hope Vanderbilt at no point suffers from brand bias, anti-brand bias, I should say, the way Indiana did last year when it comes to their seeding or their matchup, or if they were to lose another game, getting them into the college football playoff. Vanderbilt is just straight up a good football team. Missouri has legit weapons. And Vanderbilt just kept them in check. 10 points. 10 points in the football game. That's it. I know that Bo Pribula didn't finish it, but this Vanderbilt defense is real. The offense can be physical when they need to. Pavia is really good. Their offense has got some clever play designs. I just like everything about them. They're an incredibly balanced football team, and they're an incredible story. Unbelievable story. The last 2 years are representative of how the transfer portal specifically, NIL too, but I think the portal more so, has leveled the playing field in college football. Vanderbilt is one of the best teams in the SEC. Get used to it, guys. Sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but they are better than several bigger brands in this conference. That is just an objective fact. And they wouldn't be there if Diego Pavia hadn't been able to transfer in. And Indiana, who shellacked UCLA that had been playing good football, 55-6, I think was the final score in that one. They wouldn't be there if they didn't have their last two quarterbacks that transferred in and a bunch of their roster that transferred in. This is why the college football playing field has leveled out more than it ever has in my lifetime as a college football fan. I'm not saying it's perfectly level. It isn't. It is not. I'm not blind to that reality. It has just balanced. It used to be like this. Now it's like this. For those watching on YouTube, I had my hands really far apart off the screen. Then they came on the screen and they were almost at the same level of the microphone. That's where it's at. And Vanderbilt is an awesome story. I know there was a lot of debate and discussion about, especially with some hosts at this very network, which I understand, about whether Vanderbilt should have hosted game day. Yes, they absolutely should have. You can point out the SEC bias at ESPN. It's pretty easy to recognize in a number of different ways. But to pretend that Vanderbilt shouldn't have been the game day spot this week, no, they should have. They had their moment. They had their opportunity. They rose to it. The highest of vibes for Vanderbilt fans. Bad vibes for Missouri fans. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're just not a great team. So let me pivot to another school that you have to wrap your head around as, college football playoff is possible. It's Washington. Washington dismantled Illinois. The defense for the Illini is just bad. It's just bad. And I don't know what happened to Brett Bielema and the physicality of the Illini, and I don't think Illinois is going to lose another football game. They play Rutgers, Maryland, at Wisconsin, and Northwestern. Northwestern actually looks respectable in this spot, but three of those four final games are at home. I fully expect Illinois to end the year 9-3, one off my regular season prediction for them when the year began. They won't get into the college football playoff because their defense is just simply awful. 34 points to Ohio State, 42 to Washington, 27 to Purdue, 32 to USC, 63 to Indiana. It just isn't there. They are not physical enough. They are not sufficiently well coached, and they just are not good enough on that side of the ball. I think Brett Bielema probably needs to reload at defensive coordinator and try to build on the momentum he's got right now. But Washington has serious momentum. And you talk about favorable schedules. The showdown with Oregon on November 22nd, rivalry week, is shaping up to be another all-timer, and it's in Seattle. Because they play Wisconsin next week, who's lifeless in spite of the way they kind of pushed Oregon today. Oregon did not play particularly well. Wisconsin played better. Wisconsin scored a touchdown for the first time since October 4th. That's not going to happen. Purdue at Husky Stadium. Nope, that's not going to happen. At UCLA. Hey, that could be a classic trap game look-ahead spot for Washington, but those are their next three games. The Huskies are 6-2. Damon Williams is an absolute guy. He had another 280 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ho-hum. I don't know why Jonah Coleman doesn't get the ball more to run. I'm perplexed by that. He leads the nation in rushing touchdowns. He had 14 carries in this game. Why? You can run on Illinois' defense. I don't fully understand that, but it's hard to argue with 42 points against a ranked team. Washington wanted to be ranked when they were 5-1. Michigan put them in their place a bit last week, and then they bounced back and realized their place is indeed inside the top 25. And they will be there when my top 25 comes out, fear not. 42-25. They can be 9-2. Can they make the Big Ten championship game? Maybe not. maybe not, but a chance against Oregon at home to be 10-2, potentially go to the playoff. If Oregon doesn't lose between now and then, and they could, because they've still got to play Iowa and they've still got to play USC on the road and at home respectively. So maybe Oregon drops one between now and then because they have looked pretty human. They're still really good, but unbeatable? No, absolutely not. If Oregon, though, is a top 10 team and then Washington wins that game and they're 10-2 with a convincing win over number 23 Illinois and a win over a top 10 Oregon team, yeah, I don't know how Washington wouldn't get in the playoff at that point. So Vanderbilt and Washington to the playoff. Get used to the idea if you're not already. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.